This is E-Commerce Uncensored. Brought to you by Fast Forward Unlimited. We're coming to you fully loaded and exposed with all the strategies and techniques for growing your e-commerce business.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. This is episode 114. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
Jason. You're not happy today?
No. No, I'm happy today. Just
at our current situations.
Yeah. Just got a little annoyed.
Yeah.
Very much annoyed.
So before we get started, let's talk about Klaviyo.
Well, let's talk about first. Let's do a little tease of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
episode.
I forgot that you like how to do that.
I like doing the tease because people should know what we're talking about before we get into.
That's a good idea, Jason. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Good.
What?
Okay. So we created this document called the 5 keys to something. Email marketing, right?
To increasing your open rates.
Well, it's just 5
engagement.
keys. It's 5 keys to email marketing, right?
Yeah.
I think, and those are
It's 5 keys to email opening and to get more opens, more clicks, and ultimately more sales.
Exactly. Right.
Yes. Which they do trickle in. We get a lot of those.
We get a lot of those. Yeah, we do.
We get a lot of those.
Excuse me. And today we are one of our bigger brands that we work with. They're big cosmetic company.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they're $40-50 million company. And they have some really, really good designers on their team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young women, like in their mid-20s, are actually running the show over there.
They're just like generally creative, I think. They do a lot of different cool photography too. You know, it's like not just like design. They do a lot of cool like animations and GIFs and stuff.
Yeah, they really have a really creative team.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of gets in their way sometimes because they can't see past the creative side of things. And we laid out a whole email sequence for them, and we've done this in the past, and it's made like tons and tons of money for them. So we laid out the email sequence for this month, and basically they're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of plain text emails, and they're not really too fond of them.
Listen, I think they're scared. I think they take pride in what they look like. And I think they're afraid of what their audience may think of something that's not as pretty as they've been sending out for the last however many years.
I can understand that if what they're doing is working.
Right.
It's not, though. So anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do, we're going to talk about our favorite email marketing / relationship building platform.
Yeah.
And that is Klaviyo.
Klaviyo.
Yes, Klaviyo. If you go to ecommerceuncensored.com/email, it will redirect you to Klaviyo. They will give you a free trial up to 250 subscribers. But the stuff that they're doing on that platform, every day I'm getting, that's a lie, not every day, but I do get a lot. I do get emails with new features that they're rolling out. Kevin just actually created some Facebook audiences through Klaviyo.
Yeah, and I'm getting sucked into that thing, man. I got to tell you. And I know it's like you don't want me to be in there.
No.
But I see myself.
Ruin it.
I'm not going to ruin it. Like I feel like I go deeper into it than you do sometimes. Like I see these features and I think they're cool, so I look into them, like this Facebook audience thing, how you could take your segments or your lists and tie them into Facebook. Facebook and Klaviyo integrate together, directly. So you can have a list that creates a Facebook audience, and I think that's a really powerful thing. Because then you can advertise directly to any segment or list that you want on Facebook.
Yeah. I think you go deeper into it because you like playing with those things.
I do.
Yeah. But anyway, so ecommerceuncensored.com/email. Also, don't forget about our Facebook group, ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook. And don't forget about the course that we're building. We're getting people pretty crazy, actually, to be honest with you. We're getting people buying our course before it's even done. And actually somebody just bought today, which was awesome. Thank you. We have the early bird special for $497.
We're still working on the landing page too, man. I mean, I said it to you today. I'm like, I mean, we're missing major parts of that landing page, so it's pretty cool that people, I feel like people trust us because they listen to us all the time. So it's a really cool to know that people are out there.
And what's cool about the course, I think, is like all the stuff we talk about on here, we're literally just going to show you exactly how we do it, and then show you examples of our clients. I mean, we're going to show you behind the scenes of like, $50 million.
Well, this company that you're talking about, we'll show you, the stats behind plain text emails and really graphically appealing emails, and you'll see the difference.
Yeah, we'll show you the difference. So
blacked out there for a second.
Yeah, because I don't remember us mentioning plain text emails, but we must have when I was ranting in the beginning, right?
Well, what do you mean with the example you're talking about? The graphic emails,
right, exactly.
That's exactly what the podcast is.
I had a blackout.
It happens.
Okay, so couple things: the 5 keys to email marketing.
Well, we didn't give away the course URL.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't.
ecommerceuncensored.com/learn.
Okay, good job.
Thought I did, but anyway. So one part of the course is going to be talking about obviously email because that's a big part of this, and the 5 keys, right? Number 1.
You're going to go through the 5 keys?
I'm going to go through the 5 keys.
You didn't even remember the title of the friggin' thing.
Subject line, call to action,
frequency,
email frequency, which is huge. This is like, I think, email frequency is the most important part of email. It really is. We literally could send out 3 emails, 4 emails, 5 emails, and the 5th email make just as much money as the first, which is crazy to think about because you're sending it to the same people.
And I love going into Klaviyo and seeing these emails going out every day. You see the stats of every email every day, and you don't have to. You're not worrying about, emailing people too much. You shouldn't feel that way anyway.
No, because if you send out 5 emails and somebody buys on the 5th email, it means a couple things. The first thing it means is maybe they didn't see the first 4, right? Everybody looks at email at different times. I know me. The minute I wake up, I check my phone to see if there's any emails for work, to make sure like there's no emergencies, and then like I'll check my personal email. But like after that, like if I get an email at like in between that time and when I walk out the door, I'm not getting it until I leave.
I could tell you that for one of our clients, I put myself in the funnel. Like I put myself in the email funnel just because that's what I do.
Right.
And I like to watch things over, and I like to see how they happen. So I was collecting all the emails into a folder so I could like actually see the experience of somebody after they, purchase or they go through this welcome series. And the other day I was like, shit, I didn't get email number 5 or whatever, or 5 or 6. I was like, why didn't that happen? And then I was like, oh, wait, I did get it. I just never looked at it. So even in my position where I'm looking out for this email so I can check up on everybody here, it's just basically what I'm doing.
Right. It got lost in your emails.
Yeah, and I'm looking for it. I'm waiting for it to come in, and I missed it as well. So that you got to expect that to happen.
All right, so let's get back to the 5 keys. Number 1, the subject line. Number 2, the congruency of the email and the subject line, right? If those don't match in some way, people are going to get annoyed. Call to action, scarcity, and frequency. And in this episode, I want to talk about frequency because I think, to me, that's probably the most important. Like we said, right? Like if you send out an email, people check their emails at different times, and so if you send out 5 and the 5th one makes $1, it's worth sending out more emails, right? But the trick is to not annoy the people who do open up all the emails, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the pure numbers, I mean, we're getting, on a good email, we'll get 20%, right?
Open rate
of 20%, sorry. So if you have an email of 1,000 people, just 1,000, that's only 200 people in the list that are actually going to see it. And it's not like every time you get 20%, it's going to be the same 20% every single time.
Well, it's funny you say that because with this client that kind of like a little bit annoyed me, like I look at the data, and when you send offer emails, right, like emails with like an offer in it, 20% off, 30% off, 50% off, whatever, there's only so many subject lines you can use for those offers. And I don't want to say they're all the same, but they all kind of have the same tone to them. But when you send out text emails, because the subject can literally be about anything, the subject lines tend to read differently, which are getting us even higher open rates.
And I think when you're trying to convey a specific message, which is something that they're trying to do, and you do that in a more graphic, creative, motion, animation way, is cool, but the message gets lost. And it just turns into like this pretty shiny little object that someone might click on.
Yeah, and we're finding the click-through rates on these animated GIFs are low. They're very, very low. But if the offer is good, they make a lot of money. The problem is the frequency of those emails can't be very high because, when you're running an offer and you run a 30% offer, the next day you're not going to run a 20% offer and then a 50% offer, right? Like you got to be consistent with your offer because, obviously you can look like an idiot if you're changing your offer. But if you're sending out emails that are telling a story, you can send an email every single day. I mean, I follow people that send multiple emails a day. You know why? I've never seen an email make $0 ever.
Yeah, I know. And you talk a lot about intent of a click. You always talk about that.
Always.
And when I think about creative emails, even though they're good, we like them, we use them, you should definitely keep using them. There's someone who just clicks on the pretty thing in an email, like a picture or something like that. But if you have a text email that gives them that tells a story or has a message to it, and someone actually clicks on a link within the text, that's a purposeful click. That someone's really meaning to go where they're going.
Yeah, and there could be an argument can be made that if someone does read the email and they get to the link, that they are more qualified and they are a better click, right? The quality of the click is better. Albert actually just said something like that too. Like, well, if somebody listens to the whole podcast, that the people who get to the end are probably better people, and it's. Right. Not better people, but they're probably a more quality listener because they're more engaged.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with email, right? Like, I say this all the time, and it's so hard for people to grasp. Like, email is the cheapest. It is the easiest. It is the fastest. It is, however you want to. It's the best. It's if you can think of something to send your customers, you'll make money. Now, if you're just starting and you don't have any customers and you have 10 people on your list, obviously you're just not there yet. But when you have a product that people are buying, when you send an email, you will make money. That's just a fact.
Yeah, but I think that's a good point, even for people who are starting out. And we talked about lead generation last week and just capturing an email and getting them onto your email list through, not necessarily a sale, maybe a quiz or a content upgrade or some kind of PDF download or something. It's like you're not just going to start sending them out pictures of your products. You have to send them, and we talk. What is it? Email every day or something? Somebody does that a lot. Email every day.
Daily email,
whatever. Email every day, or once a day.
Yeah,
or something.
Ben Suttle sends out multiple emails per day, and they never have a picture in them, and it's a multi-million-dollar business. Now he's not selling, he's selling. A digital product, but the point is that he figured out a long time ago that the more emails he sends, the more money he makes. And if you're listening to this and you're in business, you're not in business to make friends, you're in business to make money. And if you send an email and you make money, you should send more emails. And that's, this is definitely something that I'm going to really dig into in our course. I'm really going to go deep into this because we're offering a 30-day, not a 30-day, I'm sorry. We're offering an action-based money-back guarantee. Basically, if you don't make your money back, if you follow the course and you don't make your money back, we'll give you your money back.
Yeah.
Right? That's how confident we are.
Well, we do it every day.
We do it every day, and we know.
We're going to show you.
Exactly. So I'm really going to dig into the 5 keys. I'm really going to talk about different subject lines. I'm going to talk about like how you can keep them congruent with the email body itself. We'll go through all that stuff.
I think people struggle with like, okay, you tell me I want to send plain text emails out all the time. That's great. That's good advice. But like, what the hell am I going to talk about in every single email?
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing, because look, we have this course, and I don't want the course to be the only place that there's value, right? So I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. And I'm teaching Brianna and Tamara this. Like, agitate a problem, right? They have an issue. Like, remind them about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then your product in the email fixes their problem, right? Like, you have to agitate something that they're thinking about. Like, we do this all the time with, I used to do this with, like, this tree service guy. Like, I'd be like, you have kids? Do you have a tree that looks like it's going to fall in your house and possibly hurt somebody in your family? Get a free tree inspection.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you agitate that fear or you agitate that problem, and then you use your product to solve it.
And educate on, like, take details about your product or your service and break them apart and make them valuable. So your tree guy, like, talk about different kinds of trees. Talk about, like, what the leaves look like so you know what kinds of trees are around your house.
Yeah, I talked about in the ad, like, I showed them what, like, a dead tree looks like, or if they have this crack in them, and, you know, if there's, like, a V and there's a crack. I mean, like, you know, you're educating them. And that's, you know, one of our listeners, Josh, basically started doing this, like, storytelling in his emails, and, like, he sends us emails, and he sends us messages, and he's like, dude, I'm killing it with these text emails. Mm-hmm. You're on his list. I'd like to see him do it more often.
Yeah.
Send more emails. He's not sending enough of them. Josh, if you're listening, send as many as you possibly can. Going back to what you talked about the open rate. Normally, there is a certain percentage of your list that is really, really engaged. Okay? There's this other part of the list that isn't very engaged. Maybe they tried your product, they didn't love it, or maybe they tried it once, but they don't use the product that often. And then there's also other segments of people who just need to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
And if you constantly send out just graphical emails, you're only going to get the same 20 people, not 20, same percentage of people responding to the email. Like, I tried to, like, tell them, like, look, you're going to get a different segment of people buying when you switch it up. Sending the same kind of emails over and over and over and over are going to speak to one person. They're not going to speak to the other parts of the list.
And when you're selling a product that's, like, consumption based, like we're doing for another client of ours, is like, there's going to be a certain period of time where they're not going to want to buy. They're going to wait till it's time to their bottle is empty or whatever it may be to buy again. So you want to stay in contact. You don't want to send them an offer email or a graphic email in the middle of this product that they already have. Like, if you can speak to them throughout that whole process that they're using your product, you can hit them at so many different levels of their experience with the product. You're just going to be better off. You're going to hit them. You're going to, like, open up your, you know, awareness or exposure to them.
I mean, if you look at the other company, that the skin care company that we're working with, and we just wrote that whole email sequence for them. If you look at their emails, if you look at, like, a normal e-commerce email, if you get a 1 to 2% click-through rate, that's about normal. Mm-hmm. These are getting 5%, 6% click-through rates. The first one's probably even getting higher than that.
Yeah.
But on average, they're getting about 5% click-through rates.
And what I think is interesting about that too is that the links that we have that people are clicking on are the actual URLs that they're going to go to. It's not like click here or a button in the, well, we switched up from time to time, but to actually have the URL, people, you were saying, I don't remember who you were talking to, but people trust that.
I learned that from, I was telling them, but that was, like, something I learned from Ben Settle. He said, you know, he's a really interesting guy, and he's a weirdo, but he's like, he's just practical, and he just tells you like it is. And he's basically like, when you put a link in your email, he's like, just put the link in it. Trust me. I don't know why it works. It just works. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it does. Because people, if you put like something like click here to like learn more, like there's a lot. They don't really know where they're going. They don't know what they're clicking. But if you actually put the link in your email, https:// ecommerceuncensored.com/learn, whatever, people know exactly where they're going.
And I tried to fight you on that for a while. I always tried to like put the hyperlink text or put click here and then have that click here text go somewhere, and it makes a big difference just to put the URL in there. It's interesting.
These are the kind of things we're going to go over. I mean, this is it's one thing to talk about it, it's another thing to actually show you guys how to do it. But yeah, I mean, look, if I had a product right now that I had a business, I had a product that people bought, I would sell it. I would send an email every single day.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the first thing I did in the morning, because I know when I press send, I'm gonna make $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. So why would I waste my time on Facebook ads or on all the other platforms when I know that if I just send more emails, I'll make more money? And the way to send more emails, I say this over and over. I feel like I said this every podcast, every episode. The way to make or to send more emails is to have diversity in what you're sending. You just can't send graphics.
Yeah.
Just can't do it.
I thought it was interesting too. I don't know if we talked about this last time or if we talked about it amongst ourselves, is like referring to previous emails or referring to the next emails in each text email that you send out. Having them look forward to the next one, or having them feel like they missed one previously, I think is an interesting way to do it too.
Yeah, because it's funny because you can learn so much just by like seeing how other industries do things, right? Like TV, right? TV, when you watch like a series, just pretend that's your email. They don't, like, in the middle of the movie, they're not like telling you. I mean, they may show you or remind you of what happened in the first episode, but they're not like, hey, let me just play the whole first episode over and then give you the new episode, right? They'll just remind you, like, last week on.
Right. So if you turn it on that episode, you're like, oh shit, I got to stop and go back and look at that
and go look
watch that
right
one.
Because actually one of our clients said that to us. He's like, well, you're talking as if you're assuming they saw the first email, and I'm like, no. I want them to feel like they missed something. I want them to look out for our emails going forward. I want them to look forward to our emails. So I always put that in the email. Like, hey, last week we spoke about this. If you missed it, go look for the email. Don't, like, you want them.
And then what do they do at the end of every show or series? Next week on
right.
Same shit. That's a good point.
And that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you have to do in your emails. Russell Brunson talks a lot about that. Like, like he calls it the Seinfeld series, where like nothing really ever gets done in the emails. It's just like leading you to the next email. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's like you're just trying to take them down this journey. And I've just found that the more emails, the more diversity in your emails, the more emails you can send, the less you're going to annoy people, the different segments of your audience you're going to touch.
And talk to them like they're a person in the email.
Yeah, you know what? I was studying like cold emails, and it's funny that when they talk about sending cold emails, they're like, don't like talk about the name of your company. Nobody cares, right? And like they talk about like how to lead them, like to the to call you or whatever. It was pretty interesting, and storytelling and all this other kind of stuff. But
kind of the opposite of what you think it would be like, or like what people in school are taught. The complete opposite way to speak.
Yeah, and it basically says in the email, that's where I was going. I lost my train of thought, but it basically said, talk like you're talking to a 6-year-old. Mm-hmm. Like, don't talk like you're like this robot. Like talk to these people like you're their friend. You're like, actually, Brianna, we had this conversation, right? So Brianna wrote an email, and it was like very like, proper, right? And I'm like, would you talk to Tamara like that? She goes, no. I'm like, well, then don't talk to her like in the email like that. Talk in the emails if the person's sitting right next to you, and you're trying to explain something to them, and storytelling is great.
You work on that with Albert too, with our emails on a weekly basis. We don't even send enough out in our own email list.
Well, up until now, we didn't have a product. So,
all right. So,
ecommerceuncensored.com/learn. Sign up. First 20 people to sign up is getting an early bird special of only $497. I mean, literally, our average client's paying us $5,000 a month. So it's a steal. Mm-hmm. We have a few more of those left. I don't really know exactly how many, but people are buying, surprisingly, to be honest with you. I'm very surprised that people are giving us their money before the course is done. But they are. And if you want that pricing, you're going to have to act soon. The course will be launched in roughly 30 days.
Yeah, beginning of May.
Yeah, beginning of May. Don't forget about Klaviyo, ecommerceuncensored.com/email. Be redirected to Klaviyo. They'll give you a free trial up to 250 contacts, and our Facebook group.
Yeah.
ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook.
And Klaviyo makes it so much easier to do all the things that we just talked about. So definitely go sign up.
Yeah, and you don't need Klaviyo in our course. We're going to use them as an example, but any platform that you're using, we'll do it.
Cool. Anyway, so this has been episode number 114. Thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com. Talk to you guys real soon.
Later. Bye. What was that?